"Can I share this table?" asked the one-legged alien girl to the human single dad. Then he said, "Already saved you a seat." The explosion rocked Station Artemis at dawn, sending Jake Morrison sprawling across the breakfast hall floor. He grabbed his 6-year-old daughter Lily and pulled her under the table as ceiling panels crashed down around them. Through the smoke and screaming, he saw her, the Kavari teenager with lavender skin and one leg, falling hard when the second blast hit. Jake didn't think. He scooped Lily onto his hip and pushed through the panicking crowd toward the alien girl. She looked up at him with amber eyes wide with terror, probably expecting him to run past, like everyone else. Instead, he hauled her up with his free arm. Her name badge read Kira. She couldn't have weighed more than 90 pounds. Her crutch had snapped in the fall, leaving her helpless as people trampled past. They reached the evacuation pods as the fourth explosion tore through the station's eastern wing. The blast door began descending, sealing off the damaged sections. Kira looked at the Kavari pods on the far side, beyond the closing door. She'd never make it. Jake pulled her toward the human pod instead. The attendant blocked their path, scanner beeping angrily. "Sir, she needs Kavari atmosphere. Regulations state." Jake pushed past her, guiding Kira into the pod. Other families stared, some hostile, others just confused. The pod sealed and launched, explosive bolts firing them away from the dying station. Through the viewport, Jake watched Artemis tear itself apart. Somewhere in that inferno, terrorists had planted charges. This wasn't an accident. Kira trembled beside him, her breathing rapid. Human atmosphere was tolerable for Kavari, but not ideal. Jake wrapped his jacket around her shoulders as her skin started taking on a grayish tint. "Thank you," she whispered in accented English. "Don't thank me yet," Jake replied, watching the debris field expand. "We're not safe. The pod's navigation locked onto Hope's End mining station, 3 days away." Jake did the math. 3 days in human atmosphere. Kira might not survive that long. Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, is the pretty lady going to be okay?" "Yes, sweetheart," Jake lied. "Everything's going to be okay." Through the viewport, another pod exploded. Jake counted the survivors. 43 had launched. He'd seen at least 60. Kira's hand found his, her 3 fingers interlocking with his 5. Right now, they were alive. That would have to be enough. 3 days later, they sat in Hope's End's food court. Kira's skin had finally returned to normal after the medics pumped her full of supplements. Lily colored beside them while the news played overhead. "The death toll from the Artemis attack now stands at 217, the anchor announced. "The terrorist group, Humanity First, has claimed responsibility, stating human stations should remain human only." Jake's jaw tightened. 217 dead, including Kira's parents. She told him that morning, her voice flat with shock. They'd been cultural liaisons, helping build bridges between species. A mining supervisor named Gary stopped at their table, glaring at Kira with open disgust. "You're taking up space meant for paying customers," he said.
"The table seats 4. We're using 3 chairs," Jake replied evenly.
"Don't want her kind here. Stations for workers, not charity cases." Lily looked up from her drawing. "But Kira's nice. She taught me how to count in her language." Gary's face reddened. "You teaching your kid to sympathize with aliens? Maybe you should have burned with the rest of the alien lovers." Jake stood slowly. "Walk away. Or what? Gonna defend your little alien girlfriend?" The food court went quiet. Jake felt dozens of eyes judging, choosing sides. "Her name is Kira. She's 16. She lost both parents 3 days ago. And, yeah, I saved her. Would do it again without hesitation. Because that's what humans do. Real humans. We help people. She's not people. Gary spat. A woman in mining gear stepped between them and shoved Gary back. Shut your mouth. My daughter died on Artemis because of hate, like yours. She turned to Kira, eyes wet. I'm sorry for what they did. Gary retreated, but the damage was done. The food court buzzed with conversation, dividing into camps. The station intercom chimed. Due to recent events, new security protocols are in effect. All Kavari residents must wear identification badges at all times. Jake's blood ran cold. Identification badges, registration. He'd read enough history to know where this led. A security officer approached with a bright orange badge. Miss, I need you to wear this. And if she refuses? Jake asked. Then she'll be confined to designated areas. I don't make the rules. Kira took the badge and pinned it to her shirt. The orange stood out like a target against her lavender skin. Around the room, other Kavari did the same, shoulders slumping. Lily tugged a sleeve. Daddy, why does Kira have to wear that? Before Jake could answer, alarms shrieked through the station. Red emergency lights bathed everything in crimson as lockdown protocols engaged. Blast doors slammed shut. A new voice cut through the intercom. Cold, calculated, human. This is humanity first. We know you're harboring alien sympathizers. You have 1 hour to surrender all Quavari to the airlocks, or we detonate charges in your life support systems. Choose wisely. The food court erupted into panic. People screamed, rushing the sealed doors. Others turned to stare at the Kavari, weighing lives against survival. Jake pulled Lily close and met Kira's terrified gaze. 1 hour. 60 minutes to decide if humanity meant anything more than genetics. The clock began its countdown. 47 minutes remained when 2 miners grabbed a Kavari maintenance worker, trying to drag him toward the sealed doors. Jake moved without thinking, putting himself between them. Let him go, he growled. They're going to kill us all. My kids are in residential. You want them to suffocate? The crowd pressed closer, faces twisted with fear. Jake saw the mob forming, ordinary people deciding survival justified anything. Kira wheeled herself forward. Stop. If surrendering saves lives, I'll go. All of us will. No, Jake said firmly. Jake, there are children here. Your daughter? Which is why we can't give in. He turned to the crowd. Listen. They're not going to stop with the Kavari. Terrorists never do. They blew up Artemis knowing human families were aboard. This is about control, about making us turn on each other. A woman called out, How do we know they're serious? The lights flickered. Life support groaned. The temperature dropped 3 degrees. The intercom crackled. 30 minutes. Next demonstration will be more convincing. Panic rippled through the crowd. The network was down. Humanity First controlled communications. The woman who defended them earlier pushed forward. I'm Linda Chen, former station engineer. If they planted charges in life support, there's only 3 locations that would work, but we'd need the maintenance tunnels. They'll be watching main access, Jake said. There's a decommissioned shaft in the kitchen. Opens into the ventilation network. Kira wheeled closer. I can fit through smaller spaces. The ventilation was built with Quavari consultation. Scaled for our size. You can barely move, Jake protested. I can crawl. Better than I can walk. She locked eyes with him. You saved my life. Let me save everyone else's. The security officer who'd given Kira the badge stepped forward. I've got access codes. Name's Derek Huang. Won't help if they change them, but worth trying. Jake looked at Lily, who'd been remarkably quiet. She was scared, but hadn't cried. She trusted him. Okay. Linda guides us. Derek handles codes. Kira, I'm going into those vents, she said flatly. 27 minutes. The kitchen panel swung open. revealing a narrow shaft descending into darkness. Jake lowered Kira in first, then climbed down after her, while Derek and Linda followed. The shaft opened into a maze of pipes and conduits. Linda pulled up schematics, highlighting 3 critical locations: Sector 7A, Oxygen Reclamation; Sector 4C, Atmospheric Processors; Sector 9B, Primary Coolant Pumps. "We need to split up," Derek said. "Bad idea," Jake countered. Kira was already pulling herself toward the ventilation grate. "I'll take 7A. It's farthest, and the vents lead directly there. You 3 handle the others." "Kira, wait!" She turned back. In the dim light, Jake saw someone who'd decided she was done being a victim. "I counted to 10 for Lily and Kavari. Each number is also a virtue. 1 is courage, 2 is compassion, 3 is sacrifice. I'm going to count to 10 today, Jake. All the way to 10. She disappeared into the vent. 19 minutes. Jake, Linda, and Derek ran toward Sector 4C. They found the first bomb in the atmospheric processor chamber, sophisticated and deadly, wired directly into controls. Derek studied it, face pale. "I can't defuse this. I'm security, not demolitions." "Can you disconnect it?" Linda asked. "Maybe, but if it's got a tamper trigger." Jake looked at the processor. "What if we don't defuse it? Remove the processors it's attached to and seal this section. We'd lose atmospheric control for the western wing. 200 people. Better than 3,000. 14 minutes. They worked frantically with emergency tools. Derek isolated power feeds. Linda rerouted control to backups. Jake watched the timer tick down while wondering if Kira had reached 7A. Footsteps echoed through the tunnels, multiple sets. "Someone's coming," Derek whispered. They ducked behind a coolant tank as 4 figures appeared. Not maintenance workers. Jake could see hidden weapons, military-grade communicators, coordinated movement. Humanity First had people inside. Of course they did. One terrorist checked a tablet. "Atmospheric processor is still online. Why hasn't it detonated?" "Someone's tampering. Spread out. Find them." The ventilation shaft above rattled. All 4 looked up. The grate exploded outward, and Kira dropped onto the closest terrorist, all elbows and fury. Her missing leg became an advantage, her weight focused into devastating strikes. The terrorist went down. Kira rolled, grabbed his weapon, threw it to Jake in one motion. Jake caught it and fired at the ceiling supports. Metal groaned. Piping collapsed, separating them from 2 attackers. Derek tackled the 3rd. Linda slammed a pipe wrench into the 4th terrorist's knee. When the dust settled, 3 terrorists were zip-tied with electrical cables. Kira leaned against the wall, breathing hard, skin grayish again. 7A is clear. Disabled, the device. But there's something you need to know. I found their command center. They're going to detonate regardless. This was never about surrender. It was about division. Then killing everyone anyway to prove a point. 8 minutes? How many? Jake asked. 6 in the command center. Sector 12F, Old Mining Administration. Jake checked schematics. They'd never reach it, fighting through remaining terrorists. Linda pulled up mining operation displays. Hope's End processes titanium, using controlled explosive fracturing. There's a detonation control room in Sector 11C, right next to them. If we set off a mining charge in the right location, we could seal their section with a cave-in. Seal them in with the detonators, Jake said slowly. They can't trigger what they can't access. Cave-in could compromise station integrity, Derek protested. Linda smiled grimly. Could, or it could save 3,000 lives. I've been setting these charges 30 years. I know what I'm doing. 4 minutes. They ran. Kira pulled herself along using pipes, refusing to slow despite trembling arms. Linda navigated through maintenance corridors unused for years, spaces so tight they crawled single file. The detonation control room was locked. Derek's codes worked. Linda's fingers flew over controls, calculating blast radius, support tolerances, fragmentation patterns. Outside, movement. The terrorists knew something was wrong. "I need 90 seconds, Linda said. "You've got 60, Jake replied, positioning at the door with the stolen weapon. The first terrorist appeared. Jake fired wide, but bought seconds. Return fire shredded the doorframe. Derek pulled emergency oxygen masks from lockers. 2 minutes. "Linda, we're out of time." "Get this wrong? Bring down the whole station." An explosion rocked the tunnel. Terrorists using their own charges to blast through barriers. Kira grabbed a fire extinguisher, wedged into the doorway, used spray to create fog that made targeting impossible. 1 minute. Done. Linda slammed the detonation trigger. The world became thunder. Floor buckled. Walls cracked. Rock and metal screamed as tons of titanium ore shifted, fell exactly where Linda calculated. The blast wave knocked them flat. Dust filled the air. Jake felt the floor tilting as stabilizers compensated. Then silence. Derek checked his communicator. Signals back. Life support. Holding. Atmospheric pressure stabilizing. We did it. Jake pulled himself up, immediately looking for Lily, for Kira. Both alive, coughing but breathing. Linda had a cut above her eye, but was grinning. "Told you I knew what I was doing," she wheezed. The security channel crackled. "This is Commander Peterson. Terrorist threat neutralized. Repeat, all hostile forces contained or eliminated. Medical teams mobilizing." Kira slumped against the wall and started crying. She'd earned it. The climb back took forever. When they emerged in the kitchen, the food court erupted in cheers. People ready to throw Kavari into airlocks 45 minutes ago were now hugging them, crying, thanking them. Jake found Lily right where he'd left her, protected by mothers who'd formed circles around all children. She ran to him. "Did you save everyone, Daddy?" "Kira did," he said, looking at the exhausted girl supported by Linda and Derek. "She saved everyone." The administrator appeared on screens. "We have survived an attack intended to destroy our unity. Conspirators apprehended. Identification badge requirement revoked. To the brave individuals who prevented tragedy, we owe a debt that cannot be repaid." Jake watched the crowd, seeing how they looked at Kira now. Not with suspicion, but gratitude, respect. It wasn't enough to undo damage, but it was a start. Gary approached slowly, looking at the floor. "I was wrong. I'm sorry." Kira nodded, too tired for anything else. Linda put an arm around her shoulders. "Come on, kiddo. Medical, then dinner. Real food." Derek turned to Jake. "What you did, standing up when everyone was ready to cave, that took guts. Just did what was right. That's the special part. In times like these, doing right is revolutionary. The aftermath stretched into days of investigations and uncomfortable revelations. 17 Humanity First members on Hope's End, including security officers and administrators. Months of planning, coordinating with cells across colonies. But something unexpected happened. Rather than dividing further, the attack created bonds forged in shared survival. Segregated mining crews began working together. Orange badges were burned in public ceremony. Kira had been offered relocation to a Kavari world. She declined. Instead, she requested to stay on Hope's End, finishing the exchange program her parents died building. 2 weeks after the attack, Jake found her in the observation deck, staring at the asteroid field. She'd gotten a new prosthetic leg, something the fabrication team built specially, not perfect, but hers. Couldn't sleep, he asked. Nightmares. Keep seeing the timers. How close we came. Me too. They sat watching mining drones work the asteroids. I've been thinking about what happens next, Kira said. Humanity First is still out there. Other groups like them. The hate didn't die in that cave-in.
No, it didn't. So what do we do?
How do we fight something in people's hearts? Jake thought about humanity's long struggle with this question. We keep showing up, keep sitting at tables together, keep saving each other when everything says, look away. Eventually, maybe people watching start to see us as us instead of them. That simple, that hard. Kira laughed softly. My father used to say courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding something else matters more. You and Lily matter more than my fear. This station matters. The future where kids like Lily grow up not seeing differences matters. A proximity alarm chimed. Approaching ship, scheduled to dock in 6 hours. Colony transport carrying families displaced by Artemis, both human and Quavari. Hope's End had volunteered to take them in. Station's going to get crowded, Jake observed. Good. Harder to stay strangers when you're crowded together. Next morning, Jake and Lily were back in the food court when the first refugees arrived. The administrator had organized a welcome committee. Volunteers prepared food and housing assignments, organized chaos everywhere. Through the crowd, Jake saw a Kuari family struggling with luggage, a father managing 3 small children while his wife dealt with bags. Without hesitation, Jake walked over. Need a hand? The father looked wary, wondering if this was genuine or a trick. Jake understood that wariness. Trust had been shattered for many. Then, Kira appeared, walking steadily on her new prosthetic. It's okay, she told them in Kuari. Then English, Jake's good people. One of the best. The father's tension eased. He nodded, allowing Jake to help. As they walked toward housing, Lily chattering with the Kuvari children despite language barriers, Jake felt something shift. This was how it would happen. Not through grand gestures or policy changes, but small moments of trust. Through choosing to help instead of walking past. Through saving seats at tables. Linda found them later with news. Station Council voted, establishing a joint human-Kuvari security force. Can't be infiltrated again. Derek's heading it. Asked if Kira would consider joining when she's old enough. Kira's eyes widened.
But I can't even... You dropped through a ceiling onto armed terrorists and took one out before he knew what hit him. Pretty sure you can handle security training.
Over following weeks, Hope's End transformed. Refugee families integrated into mining operations, bringing new skills and perspectives. A Kuari engineer revolutionized ore processing efficiency. A human teacher started the first mixed-species classroom. In the food court, it became common to see humans and Kuvari sharing tables, meals, lives. Jake watched it unfold with cautious optimism. There were still incidents, people clinging to prejudices. But they were becoming the minority, shouted down by a majority that had seen what happened when hate festered. One evening, exactly 1 month after the attack, Jake returned to the food court with Lily. The place was packed, every table full. He looked around for seats. That's when he saw Kira at a corner table, waving them over. She had homework, spread out, studying for finals. Next to her was an empty chair, and next to that, a booster seat for Lily. Jake smiled and led his daughter through the crowd. As they sat, Lily launched into a story about her day, talking to Kira like they'd been friends forever, which, in a way, they had. Some friendships were forged in minutes that felt like lifetimes. How was work? Kira asked, pushing aside studying. Long. Titanium processing is down for maintenance. Double shifts when it's back. You? Ready for finals?
I think so.
Linda's been helping with technical terminology. Engineering words are impossible in every language. A server brought their food. A young Kavari woman who smiled. Anything else? We're good, thanks, Jake said. A human miner at the next table called her back, asking about the Kavari dish he'd ordered, wanting to understand the spices. Such a small thing, but Jake felt its significance. This was what victory looked like. Not explosions or heroics, but ordinary moments of connection. People trying, sometimes failing, but trying again. Lily nudged Kira's arm. Can you teach me more numbers? I want to learn to 20. All the way to 20? That's a lot of virtues to remember. I can do it. Daddy says I'm smart. Kira laughed, genuinely happy for the first time since Artemis. But you teach me Earth songs in return. Deal? Deal. As Kira began counting, her voice mixing with ambient noise, Jake realized something. When she'd first asked to share this table, scared and alone, he'd said he'd already saved her a seat. But the truth was more complicated. She'd saved a seat for him, too. For Lily, for Linda and Eric, and everyone who'd chosen to see people instead of sides. In the midst of terror and hatred, they'd all saved seats for each other. And they'd keep saving them, one table at a time, until the whole station, the whole sector, maybe the whole galaxy, learned there was always room for one more. The food court hummed with conversation, human and Kwavari voices blending. Outside the viewports, asteroids drifted in their eternal dance. Somewhere in the darkness, ships carried more people who needed refuge. Hope. Someone to save them. A seat. Hope's end was ready. They'd keep chairs warm and tables open, because that's what people did when they remembered they were all just trying to survive in the vast emptiness of space. Together was better than alone. Always had been. Always would be. Jake watched his daughter and Kira counting together, building bridges with numbers and trust, and smiled. The future was uncertain, but for now, in this moment, surrounded by friends old and new, everything was exactly as it should be. The seat had been saved, and they'd never stop saving them.